5 craft show mistakes not only hurt your sales, but can keep you from opportunities in participating in future shows. Today, I am breaking down these 5 common mistakes so you know exactly what to avoid when selling at your next craft show. Hey makers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Camryn. I run the crochet boutique called Camryn's Cute Creations, and I love selling at craft shows. I've been selling at craft shows for over 3 years now, and I have learned so much of what to do, but also what not to do when selling at craft shows, because these things I'm going to tell you today can genuinely really affect your sales, but also keep you from opportunities to make more money in the future and participate in future shows. I definitely don't want you making any of these mistakes at your next craft show. So I'm going over these 5 common mistakes, the 5 common things of what not to do at craft shows. All of them are super good, so let's dive right in. First on the list of what not to do is please do not arrive late to set up. Now, I also included don't arrive late and unprepared, so make sure you're all prepped before your show. If you don't know what to bring, I actually have a free checklist I will link down below for you. You can go download that for free. It has a list of everything you need to bring to your show. But showing up on time, that's up to you. You've got to show up on time for setup. On time for setup is going to depend on the show. Now, usually coordinators don't want you showing up way before your setup time because that can be a little annoying too. So just make sure that you double check with the event, see when setup time starts and showing up on time for setup time. Or if it's only going to take you a couple hours to set up, just make sure you get there ahead of time a couple hours so that you're there and you're set up before the event starts. Coordinators get so annoyed if you're still setting up as the event is starting because it will affect the sales and the dynamic of the event. If it looks like we're still setting up, customers will avoid the vendor booths, so it affects everybody's sales and the event itself. So it's just good to be completely set up well ahead of time so you can just focus on selling as soon as the event starts. So let me tell you, I myself have made a lot of mistakes over the past few years of selling at craft shows, but I've also seen a lot of vendors make bad mistakes too. So not to call out this person, and I definitely won't use names, but last year at a craft show, a vendor literally showed up 3 minutes before the event started, and it was her first craft show ever. So first craft show, she decides, you know what, I'm just gonna show up 3 minutes before the event starts. That is not enough time to set up at all. And I was already completely set up, and I remember her walking up being really frustrated, didn't even know where to set up, and being obviously unprepared. So I walked up and I tried to help her. She was very upset because another vendor was in her spot, which is annoying but can happen, especially if you're showing up right before the event. Sometimes people get moved around and shifted by the coordinators just to make sure it fills the gaps and all the things. Now, the coordinator wasn't even in the area anymore because it was 3 minutes before starting. So she was off, I think, inside of the actual venue. So I walked in this vendor. I was like, hey, let me show you where the coordinator is. She was so upset too. She was telling me, oh my gosh, somebody's in my spot. I'm going to sell so much worse here. They're probably going to make more money than me, and was being really weird and competitive. So she had quite the attitude too, which wasn't helping her case because she, again, showed up 3 minutes before the event and was throwing a huge fit about some other vendor being in her spot. So anyways, the coordinator just said, okay, set up here because it's an open spot. It wasn't her original spot, okay, because she again showed up 3 minutes before the event. And she was very upset about that. She still did set up in her spot, but she was setting up an hour and a half into the event, which is super annoying for other vendors like us because as customers are walking through, they're thinking, oh, are they still setting up here? Should I not be shopping yet? And as a coordinator who wants the event to run smoothly, it's frustrating when vendors show up right before to set up. Honestly, a lot of coordinators wouldn't even let you set up at that point. This one is a little bit more laid back, but it's just not a good idea, especially if it's one of your first craft shows. It's gonna take you a little longer to set up, so give yourself a little buffer time, a little grace period to make sure you get set up on time because you don't wanna upset any of the other vendors or the coordinators. Also, you're missing out on potential sales from customers that are shopping first thing in the morning. The next thing I do not want you to do at a craft show is be overly aggressive or pushy with your products. Nobody likes this. Everybody hates this, okay? There is a balance between not engaging with your customers at all and just completely avoiding them. I think you should have conversations with your customers. I think you should talk about your products. You should talk about your brand, especially if they're asking questions. A great conversation starter would be, let me know if you have any questions about anything. I hand make everything myself. That's something that you can just start the conversation with. I also have another video with a ton of other conversation starters. If you want to go check out that video, I will link it down below for you. So I definitely think you should engage in conversation with your customers. Absolutely. But there is a difference between, hey, how are you doing today? And, hey, you should buy this from me. It's a really good deal. And you should just get it from me right now. Don't force the sales. You want your products to get in the right hands. You don't want people who don't want your products to get your products. They're going to have a bad taste in their mouth about it. If they're forced into buying something, they're not going to have a good experience about it. They're going to look back at that product and be like, I didn't even really want that. You know, remember when she just forced me to buy this? So just make sure you're not being overly pushy. Now, I feel like most of the time people are too nervous to even talk to their customers. So I feel like if it's one of your first craft shows, you're probably already feeling nervous about making any sales at all. And I just want to share an example with you of a great conversation starter, a great sales strategy versus a bad one and being way too pushy. Just this last weekend, I went camping with my dad and he was running a race and it was really fun because it was a whole huckleberry festival. So there was a ton of vendors. I think there were 65 vendors. So we were walking around. It was so fun chatting with all the different vendors and looking at all the different displays. So as we were walking around, we remember two booths very vividly. One, my dad bought a few things from her. She was painting. She was super awesome, super nice, engaged in conversation with us, and shared a little bit about her process. It was really interesting. And my dad got a couple of magnets from her. And I remember he was buying one magnet and she said, hey, I think it was $7 for one, but if you want to get two, it's just $12. So it's a deal. He grabbed another magnet and he bought two of the magnets because it was a better deal. And he did like another one. That is an example of sales in a really friendly, normal way. Hey, if you want to grab another one, it's just $5 more or something like that. For me, if somebody's buying two scrunchies, I sometimes say, if you purchase one more, then you'll get one free if that's something you're interested in. Now, it's just letting your customer know of a sale you're having. It's not pushy and it does encourage more sales. It was also the delivery too. She knew we were interested in some of the other magnets and we were already having this conversation with her. It felt natural and she did a great job making that extra sale. And I totally encourage you to do this at your craft shows, but something I don't encourage you to do is what this other vendor did. We walked up to these products, and I'm trying not to say what the products are for the ones I'm kind of talking poorly about because I don't want to call anybody out here, but again, we're just all learning lessons here, and I'm sure these people are completely nice, but being a little too pushy is going to affect your sales because you're going to steer people away. And this person definitely caught us off guard and it was a little too pushy for my dad and I's shopping experience. And we definitely talked about it after, like, wow, she was very pushy. So I remember we were kind of looking at her products and I said, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Do you make these yourself? She said, yes. And she started talking about her process, all the things. And then she got just way too pushy. She just right off the bat, didn't even ask about our days, didn't even have a conversation with us. She goes, you know, Christmas is coming up. And also Christmas, it's August. Okay, yeah, Christmas, whatever. It's kind of coming up, I guess. But it was definitely a sales strategy. Start thinking of Christmas already. She was like, I know a lot of people don't think of Christmas as early and a lot of people are last second shoppers, but start thinking of it now because you probably could get one of these things for somebody that, you know, for a gift. And it wasn't too pushy, but it was enough. And she kept talking about Christmas enough for my dad and I to just slowly walk away, have a good day. And it was just Christmas in August, you know, and I'm sure that sales strategy has worked for her before because yeah, sometimes I am shopping for Christmas this early, but the fact it was so forced on me, we weren't engaged in just a normal conversation. It was very salesy pretty much right off the bat. And she just kept talking about Christmas and we kept saying, yeah, you know, and we obviously weren't that interested in purchasing right then and there. And now I don't even want to go back and purchase something in the future because sometimes these people who aren't buying something from you right in that moment, I mean, I grabbed a ton of business cards from other vendors that I really liked and I'm going to purchase from them in the future, but this is one of those vendors that She was just a little too pushy for me, and I'm definitely not gonna shop for them again. The last 3 don'ts that I have for you are so important when setting up at craft shows. They will affect your sales, but before we move on, I just wanted to mention, since you're probably enjoying the video so far, if you're still watching, I'm assuming you're enjoying it, I did want to mention a product that I am launching next week. It's called the Market Etiquette Handbook. This thing is gonna help you out so much because I include a ton more of the don'ts and a ton of the do's when setting up at craft shows, so you get along with vendors, customers, and coordinators. Also tips on how to get more opportunities out of your shows, build community, and just all around have a way better time than if you didn't know the information that is packaged together in the Market Etiquette Handbook. Now, I've been doing craft shows for years. I know what to do and what not to do, and I have a list of do's and don'ts. I designed the Market Etiquette Handbook as something that will relieve your anxiety going into your first or next market and definitely help you go into your next market with a ton more confidence. There's pretty much just so much included in this handbook. I wanted to let you know I'm launching it next Friday. Depending on when you're watching this video, it's either about to launch or it's already up on my website. All these rules that I'm sharing in this handbook are things that I review before every single show to make sure I make the most out of every show I participate in. So I cannot wait for you to get your hands on a copy of the Market Etiquette Handbook. Tip number 3 of what not to do is please do not lack clear pricing of your products. You want to make sure that all of your products are clearly priced so your customers will see immediately what price they're going to be paying for each of your products. Now, you can do this a couple different ways. You can use signs. You could also price individually. Now, I do a little bit of both, and I talk more about it in a YouTube series I have on pricing and tagging. So I will link that down below for you if you want to check out my opinions on all of that. I also have a video on how to create your own DIY tags. So if you haven't checked that one out yet either, they're super easy to make. I have a template for you and everything, and you can just get those printed. Boom, there you go. Price everything individually. Now, this is really important, and I think a lot of people don't think it's as important as it actually is. Now, I am extremely extroverted, right? I love talking to people. I absolutely despise having to ask for the price at a craft show or a shop or really anywhere. I hate having to ask for the price because, okay, I'm a little cheap, okay? Here's a good example of this. A couple weekends ago, I went to Portland, Oregon with a couple of my good friends. We were shopping at the markets, we were shopping at all the shops and boutiques and all the things, and we came across this jewelry store, and we really wanted to get matching bracelets because we didn't want to get matching tattoos. You know, we're not that committed to our friendship. No, just kidding. We're like, oh, that'd be fun, little matching friendship bracelets. So we walk into this jewelry store, and there are no prices anywhere. So immediately, I'm thinking, this place is expensive. This place has to be expensive. I'm not really down to drop thousands of dollars on my bracelet. Sorry, ladies, but I'm on a budget here. So I walked in, and I remember we were chatting with them a little bit, and I was the one who asked, and I felt so cheap asking. I just said, what are your general price points here? Is there a range? And they said, oh yeah, 500 to 3,000. And I remember having to act like I was kind of interested for a little while longer because I didn't want to act cheap, but I definitely didn't want to drop that much on a bracelet because I'm thinking, okay, well, if the cheapest thing is $500, it's probably a little charm for $500. So yeah, and it felt really awkward, and it felt awkward asking, it felt awkward leaving. Of course, this is a jewelry shop, so things are set up a little bit differently, but I have been at craft shows before, the same thing. I just feel too awkward to even ask in general because I know it's their personal product that they handmade, and if they tell me the price and it's too much, I'm gonna feel so awkward and have to walk away awkwardly and be like, oh, thank you, maybe later, and I don't know, it's just awkward, okay? So you do not want to put your customers in that situation. Just be sure to clearly price all of your products. Just be upfront with your customers on exactly what they're going to pay. Tip number 4, don't do this. Do not be distracted when you're at your craft shows. I know how hard it is, especially if you're feeling a little nervous or it's a little slow to just sit there and scroll on your phone. But this makes you so unapproachable, and you will definitely make less sales if you're just sitting there on your phone. Now, again, on my Portland trip, we were checking out all these markets, and it was so surprising to me to see how many vendors were sitting there scrolling on their phones. Literally, I would just not even walk up to that booth. I'm out here just shopping for fun. I really don't need anything. So if somebody doesn't engage me in conversation or something that they're offering doesn't completely catch my eye, then I'm not even gonna approach their booth, to be honest. As a reminder to at least smile, at least be off your phone and not be distracted while setting up at a craft show. I know sometimes you're gonna have to be on your phone. Sometimes I have to make a quick call to Peyton, like, hey, I forgot my phone charger. Can you come bring it to me? Or, hey, can you come bring me lunch? Hey, can you come bring me yarn? all the things, of course, but I try to keep those to a minimum. If I can just send a quick text, that's always best. That way I'm not distracted on my phone while I'm chatting with potential customers. Distractive behavior that I see is mostly vendors being on their phones, but sometimes I see them having conversations with other vendors and getting distracted, or even their friends come. I've had that before where my friends come and visit me and I chat with them and I have potential customers walk up and I have to tell my friends really quick, oh, 1 second, and talk to my potential customer and not just continue my conversation with my friends, because I am working right now. I'm not hanging out with my buddies. I can catch up with them later or after this customer makes their purchase and leaves, but I just want to make sure that my customer is either getting included in that conversation that I'm having, or I return that conversation later after my customer makes their purchase or grabs my business card or whatever they're doing. Are you ready for tip number 5 I have for you? Because this is by far the most important thing of what not to do at your craft shows. This is going to help you make so much more as far as profits go in your business, but also more opportunities as well. So tip number 5 of what not to do not ignore feedback. Now, I know, you get all sorts of characters at craft shows. Some of the things that people have said to me are very rude, and obviously I'm not going to just take all of them to heart, like, oh my gosh, I should just quit doing this because somebody didn't like the way I did something. But feedback, good and bad, is so important. You have to be adaptable if you want to succeed in this industry. All of the vendors that are succeeding have adapted so much. Ask any one of these vendors that are doing this full time if they have not changed since when they started. You have to have an open mind to change and adapting and trying new things. Something I absolutely love about setting up at craft shows is you get a ton of in-person feedback. You're getting real-time feedback face-to-face with your customers. They're pretty much handing you gold. This feedback, it's gold. So if you don't listen or you ignore that feedback, then you are doing your business a disservice. You're doing your customers a disservice. And I know there's some people who can be really rude. So we're not talking about the super rude people, but I'm talking about any patterns or requests or honestly compliments that you get on your products. If you're getting a lot of compliments on a beanie pattern, then maybe try offering some more colors in that. For example, maybe you're set up and you have pink, blue, and white scrunchies and you're getting all these requests for purple. Everybody wants purple. You've got 3 or 4 requests for a purple scrunchie. You should probably write that down and you should probably start making some purple scrunchies because your customers are literally telling you directly what they want. Now, of course, some people come up with these wild ideas. You're going to get all sorts of people at craft shows. So I'm not saying every single idea or every single request you get, you should do. But if you're seeing a pattern, then definitely consider doing it and adapting in your business. A great way to keep track of all of this feedback that you're receiving is using a tool like my Market Prep Planner. That is a digital product I sell on my website. I'll throw the link down in the description box if you don't have it already. There are a ton of various pages on there helping you plan for your next market. A few of the pages are specifically for getting feedback at your markets and reviewing your craft show so you know what to do more of for your next show and also know what not to do for your next show so you can have a better show each and every time. I do this after every craft show. Again, I've been doing craft shows for years and I still try to improve something, whether that's display, whether that's my products, or even seeking new opportunities. Whatever it is, I try to improve something each and every show. Some questions you can ask yourself on feedback were, what colors were selling? What sizes were selling? What sizes just weren't selling? What colors were not selling at all? What products were people engaging the most with? What were they feeling? Were there certain textures they liked better? What about your prices? This is so important. If you see a neighbor just selling like hotcakes at their market and you're selling absolutely nothing, that could mean a few things. Maybe this market isn't a good fit for you. Maybe the customers just were more interested in their items, or maybe you need to see if you can offer some more lower price point options. If that was something that was selling really well for your neighbor, you can definitely get that inspiration and use it in your own brand as well. Of course, I'm not saying copy anybody or undercut their prices, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. And that is indirect feedback that you're getting. Oh, my neighbor is selling really well here and I'm not. Then you have to ask yourself, okay, then what can I do to improve for next time? And let me just be honest. I am very sensitive. I hate criticism. I hate conflict. I hate getting those negative comments. But my friends and small business coach Yelena from Yelena Talks, we recently went live together on Instagram. We were chatting about overcoming these craft show fears that a lot of us face. And she shared this piece of advice with us I think is so important. She said, stop taking that feedback so personally. Stop looking at a craft show that you sold $10 at and you were unhappy with as a personal attack. start looking at it as data. You just know now, okay, well, these didn't sell, these did sell, people wanted this. You have data now, and now you can pivot in your business and you can adapt. If you want to do this and continue making money, you have to adapt and you have to be open to trying new things and taking a few risks and just putting yourself out there. I know it's hard, but I promise you, I know you can do it. I'm here for you. We have an amazing community of fellow handmade business owners, and we're all here to support you in your small business journeys. I would love to hear what your biggest takeaway was from today's video in the comment section down below. And if you want to keep hanging out here on YouTube, I did repost that video that I did with Yelena, and we are talking about overcoming all of the craft show fears. She is so full of wisdom, and I cannot wait for you to check out that video right here. I can't wait to keep hanging out with you in this video right here. Bye.